Howdy y'all, Fuzzy Biker. We are out on a Hot Rod 350 Classic, and I do mean hot rod. They've added cams to this one, a cat delete pipe. I'm not sure about a FuelX, but I know it has a DNA air filter system on it. Excellent sound. They put these crash bars on the bottom, these nice bar end mirrors over here. Lots of good mid-range power. Listen to that hum. Wahoo! We have made our way to the site of the first train robbery in the West committed by the notorious, it says notorious right there, Jesse James and his gang of outlaws. July 21st, 1873. That was some time ago, huh? Hey, the bike is running great. This thing has just been a ball. I did 26 miles into the wind with a few hills. The nemesis of this motorcycle is the headwind and the hill, but this one handled it just fine. So this is a, well, let's start with what it is, and we'll talk about what's been added to it and why it did the hill so well. This is a 349cc single overhead cam, 2-valve, air-cooled engine. It puts out about 20 horsepower, about 20 foot-pounds of torque. That's 27 Newton meters. And it runs through a 5-speed transmission. Wonderful engine, very smooth transmission, excellent running thing. And this one's been hopped up. They put a DNA air filter in it that lets more air in, lets it breathe better. They've put cam in it, and they've also got the cat delete pipe. You can tell that by this chrome piece here. And that lets the engine breathe a lot better. And I'm believing that's why it did so well on the hills and end of the headwind. Front brake is a 300mm single disc with a dual piston Bibri caliper right there. A 190/19 front tire. Then hopping over to the back, it's got a 270mm disc with a 120/80/18 tire. The front forks are 41mm. They're behind these shields here, so they're always protected. And there's 5.1 inches of travel on the front. That's 130mm. And about 3.5 inches of travel in the back. It's a dual shock rear end on the back. And that's about 89mm. Seat height in stock form, I think this is a kind of a stock seat, is 31.7 inches. That's 805mm. Wheelbase is 54.7 inches. That is 1,389mm. Fuel tank, 3.4 gallons. That's 13 liters. And wet weight, what do you think this thing weighs? 430 pounds, amazingly. I'd like to weigh one because I just don't believe it. If you ever ride one of these, you'll see what I mean. About 195 kilograms. All right, so what else have they done to this little hot rod? Well, it's got the solo seat. It's got these nifty military bags. I've got these same bags on mine, and I love them. Moving on, I already talked about the cat delete. This is something I have on mine, the wide foot pegs. And that, I have that on 2 of my bikes. I have that on my Super Meter also. And that actually adds quite a bit of comfort. We'll talk about that on the other side here in a minute. This bike has a, looks like a oil temperature gauge. Right. Jumping over to this side, he has the heel shifter on here. And again, that works really good with the pedal. So I put my foot right about here, and I keep my heel on the shifter here and my toe on this here, and I just use that to rock back and forth. Works very well. I don't know why I don't have that on my bike, honestly. Jumping over to the front end, he's got this little visor on here that's been blacked out. I like that on this bike. And he also has the engine guards and then a sump guard on the bottom. That is an RE sump guard too. I like it. It's a very well equipped bike. It runs very well. It like I said, it does the hills and the winds pretty good for a 350, and it still maintains what I call the Zen factor. One of the things I like about my bike, and I actually call my bike the Enfield, my 350, is that it has this kind of a soothing feeling as you ride down the road. I know this is going to feel out there, but it is very relaxing. It's a very good motorcycle, and it kind of, the stresses of life kind of melt away as you ride it, you know. Let's jump up here to the dash real quick while we're at it. Speaking of Zen riding. And one of the reasons I say that and relate to the dash is when you sit on the bike, especially with a full face helmet, you really have to look down to see the dash. Now the dash is also very simplistic. It has a speedometer, neutral light, fuel light, battery light. I like the battery light. Then down here in this little area here, it has a digital fuel gauge, has a trip 1, trip 2, an odometer, and a clock. And you control this little LCD with this little button over here. So very minimal amount of information. So when you're riding this motorcycle, you just don't have to think about those kind of things. You know, it'll go 60. You can tell when you're going 60, and you can kind of feel the speed. You know, your mind is free. You know, you're just kind of relieved of that. You know, worrying about, am I driving too fast? Am I, you know, am I this? Am I that? Aren't those tiger eyes nice? I like that. Or pilot lights, whatever you want to call them. Another thing I forgot to mention: these Royal Enfield bar end mirrors. And what I would have to say about those is, if you like bar end mirrors, I do on certain bikes, I do like it on this bike, is that these are, the optics on these are just excellent. And I've noticed that before, even on the other ones Royal Enfield makes, that they're just very good glass and they don't vibrate very much. The standard mirrors like I have on mine do vibrate, and I really should upgrade to something like this. Also, check out these levers. I just love these levers. They got a good dogleg bend in them. They are wide through here, but narrow here. They've got a good radius through here, and they work really well with these Amal style grips. And they just feel good in the hand. You feel like you have extra control with them. Other things on the switchgear, the information button is right here. Flash to pass light, low beam, high beam, blinkers, horn. And I always forget to mention this, but there is a USB down here and it's waterproof and it's active when the bike is running. Jumping over to this side, kill switch, run switch, rockers over to start switch, hazard lights, fuel of course, brake lever. I think I already did mention it does not have the rear seat on it. It's a solo seat bike. These are my Royal Enfield Alpine Star. These are what I call my mid-season gloves. Love those things. But it's a very comfortable seat. One of the big things about this motorcycle for me is the styling. I love the way it looks. I often have people stop me at a gas station and ask me about it. You know, what year is it? When I tell them it's a newer bike, they, oh no, it can't be a newer bike. You know, you got to argue with them almost. Sometimes they look at me with skepticism. But it is a new bike. It's just a very good looking bike. Now let's get on this hot rod and go for a ride, and I'll tell you a little bit more about it. We've made our way to beautiful Guthrie County, one of Iowa's hidden treasures, I think. We're edging up on Springbrook State Park. While I'm thinking about it, I want to mention we are having a nifty 350 ride May 25th. That's a Saturday. We'll start about 10 or 10:30 at Baxter Cycle in Marnie, Iowa. The ride's going to be probably 130 to 100, well, probably 140 to 150 miles long. Everybody's welcome. You don't have to have a 350, but it is a nifty 350 ride. I'm going to be riding my 350. Let us know if you're going to come or just show up. May 25th, about 10 o'clock, 10:30, Baxter Cycle in Marnie, Iowa. All right, the motorcycle. How is it? Well, comfort-wise, I think it's a very comfortable motorcycle. Seating position is straight up and down, but leaning forward slightly. You do have to reach to the bars a little bit, not much. Your hips and your knees are about the same height, and it looks like your heels are directly below your knees. I've ridden mine about 250 miles in a day before. I don't know if I've gone 300, but it's a pretty comfortable bike. Hey, here we are, Springbrook State Park. This used to be the King Ranch, or King Farm, I guess it was. When the Kings passed on, their children donated what was left of the farm. That would be the early 1900s, 1903, 1904, something like that, to the county or the state, and it got turned into a state park. I think this is called King Creek right here, as a matter of fact. Loads of camping, lots of, it's very hilly, rugged terrain, very beautiful. A lot of CCC era work in here. There's a mess of trails up here. There's a bunch of, well, there's a bunch of cabins up yonder, but I don't think they're used anymore. Let's run up here. This is the boat ramp over here. The motorcycle's got a pretty decent suspension. How does the bike handle? Well, like in a garage or something, it's the best. I keep mine by the garage door. It's the motorcycle that's the easiest to push out of the garage and go run around and do things on. Check this out, isn't this beautiful? That is a CCC or a shelter over yonder. There's a couple other buildings like that in the park. I don't know when that bridge was built. This is a dam here that was probably built at the same time. The lake isn't that big. I think it's in the 20-acre mark. Trail around the whole lake right here. There's one end of it. You just go this way to get to the other, and then trail through the trees. There's a big staircase up there that goes over to another set of trails. Beautiful area. In the parking lot, around town, this thing is perfect. Around town, it's an ideal motorcycle. It just does that really well. Heading out of town onto 2-lane blacktop. This thing's a joy on 2-lane blacktop. And this one with the cam, the DNA filter, and the cat delete pipe is really something else. It has a significant amount more power than mine. I don't know how much value to give that. Maybe, let's say 5 or 10%. How's that? A lot of times you'll see deer up through here. The bike is a ball to take like through Iowa Luss Hills or, you know, windy roads. I like to ride it aimlessly. I like to go out and get on it when I have nowhere to go in particular and I'm in no hurry and I just want to go out and enjoy the art of there's a good way to put it. Enjoy the art of motorcycle riding. You know, the joy of shifting, the joy of handling and steering and, you know, getting the most power out of, you know, the 20-horse engine and just really just having a good time with that kind of stuff. Look at those flowers. Isn't that pretty? How about the interstate? I tend to keep off the interstate on mine. I'll go on it if I've got like less than 10 miles to go and if the wind's at my back. Now this one's been hopped up a little bit. I think I would still stay off unless the wind was at my back. This is a big loop. I came out here one day and I saw 2 pileated woodpeckers flying across this field, and the pileated woodpecker has about a 30-inch wingspan and about an 18 or 19-inch body. So when you see one, you really see something. Now see here where these areas are not mowed, there's some mounds in there and over there. Now when I was young and they told us those were Native American burial mounds, if you go on the websites now, there is absolutely zero mention of that, but they aren't mowing them. And if you don't mow something, people tend not to walk on them. So I'm wondering if that's what's going on here. Beautiful area, just absolutely beautiful area. Again, all this work was probably CCC era. So what about power? I already talked about that a bit with the on this particular motorcycle with the cam and all that neat stuff. I think it is a significant improvement over stock. I had mine for stock. I've had mine for about a year, and I finally put the CAD lead pipe on maybe a month ago, and I was just so impressed with how much it changed the attitude of the bike. Now this bike with the DNA filters and the cam on top of all that, it really has a significant amount more juice. Will I do this to mine? I'm not sure yet. I'm gonna have to ponder that. I might try the DNA filter next and see what happens. It's a great handling bike for this kind of riding for sure. You know, state park riding, it's quiet, it's good looking, it's friendly. It would be a fabulous camping motorcycle. Back here is another one of these CCC era shelters. Let's stop back here and take a look at this stuff. I can't drive back there, but I can ponder. I think there's a big water fountain back there. There's also trails that go down to the lake over here. I'm not sure if there's a trail that way. Hopped off the bike real quick. I just wanted to get another look at it. I love the way these things look. Just a gorgeous machine. And also I wanted to run over here and take a look at what they're doing. Just a fabulous, look at that thing. Isn't that just, oh, look at this, a different color on this side. I wonder what the 40 means. Anybody knows, please post below. I wanted to walk back here and take a look in this building real quick. So this was built in the 30s or 40s. Check that out. Isn't that neat? Absolutely gorgeous. They've done maintenance to it, of course. I think they re-roofed it here a while back, just recently. The concrete, of course, has been redone. Just gorgeous. There's a drinking fountain over yonder. Lovely area. Trail down to the lake. Men's outhouse over there. Of course, the modern one's this one here. But gorgeous. Beautiful. Look at that rock. This is all local stone. Probably pushed over here by the glaciers eons ago. Isn't that just a gorgeous looking building? Lovely. Beautiful place for a classic motorcycle, right? Hey, Fuzzy Biker here, just having a good old time. If y'all are interested in a motorcycle like this, a near used Royal Enfield, Triumph, classic British bike of any type, need parts, doodads, thingamajigs, a beautiful Royal Enfield Nervic jacket like this or gloves like these, get yourself over to Baxter Cycle in the mighty metropolis of Marnie, Iowa, or go to baxtercycle.com. Make sure you tell those fine folks that Fuzzy Biker sent you. Now, it is a beautiful day. It is a beautiful day. And I've got a gorgeous motorcycle, and I'm going to try to put a bunch more miles on that hot rod. Y'all do the same if you can. Life is good. Wahoo!